If COVID-19 wasn't dominating the news right now, what would be some of the biggest stories be right now? Scientists found the first ever living animal, a parasite, that doesn't need oxygen to survive. This was in February. Link here. More here. Need subscription, but interesting abstract. Our discovery confirms that adaptation to an anaerobic environment is not unique to single-celled eukaryotes, but has also evolved in a multicellular, parasitic animal. Hence, H. Salmonella provides an opportunity for understanding the evolutionary transition from an aerobic to an exclusive anaerobic metabolism. When I suggested that extraterrestrial life could exist on a planet without oxygen due to them having different needs than human life, my Year 9 science teacher suggested I was stupid and that all life needs oxygen to survive. Who's the stupid one now, Peter? I had a similar experience. We were taught that so far we haven't found any planet besides Earth that's capable of sustaining carbon-based life, so therefore aliens don't exist. Given the presence of that qualifier, I thought it was pretty obvious to ask about non-carbon-based life. But nobody took my question seriously. Egypt and Ethiopia are close to going to war due to Ethiopia building a dam on the Nile River. Ethiopia is diverting some water and limiting water flow to Egypt. The Ethiopian government is refusing to honor previous agreements made that detail the rate at which they will fill the lake behind their dam, and they refuse to negotiate any further with the Egyptians. Does Ethiopia have the military strength to take on Egypt? I don't know much about Ethiopian military, but Egypt gets over $1 billion a year in military aid from the USA and have the largest standing army on the continent. Undefined. Thanks for all the great responses. Nah. Egypt is second strongest Arab nation, undefined. I gotta stop scrolling Reddit after 2 a.m. It depends on the type of war though. Ethiopia has wild geography. An invasion would by no means be easy. It sounds as if the Egyptian army would have to be the aggressor in this scenario. Egypt definitely has the stronger military, but it would be a tough war to effectively win. The fast-tracking of a silent bill through the Senate to dismantle encryption. In the name of protecting the children from exploitation on the internet. While everyone is trying to stay home, healthy, and worry about the next weeks and months of their lives, they're pushing this one through during all the SARS-CoV-2 distraction. It even comes with the specious naming of the EarnIt Act. They're trying to get this railroaded through quickly before anyone has a chance to notice. And we can't roll it back. The main issue with this proposed bill is that it actually does nothing whatsoever to protect or prevent child exploitation on the internet, and dismantling encryption across a broad range of products, while threatening companies with significant fees and fines for non-compliance, is fear-mongering. If anyone wants to stop the EarnIt Act, you can sign need at least 100,000 by April 16. That PG&E was responsible for the California fires, and plead guilty to manslaughter of 84 people. Only 2 days ago. And already slid off the front page. Eliminato. The earthquake in Zagreb. The nearly 2-year-long Ebola outbreak in the DRC has ended. The last patient to be treated has survived. Wow. I was worried about this a couple of months ago, but then the pandemic that must not be named took over my attention and I forgot about it. Incredibly brave people fighting Ebola. Such a scary disease. Prince Andrew trying to defend his ass. Eliminato. One of the main routes into downtown Seattle, the West Seattle Bridge, was closed yesterday because cracks in support beams made it structurally unsound. It will take several months to fix and will not reopen until it's done. This would normally destroy the entire Seattle commute. But it happened right now, so it's barely even a blip on the local news. Real talk. This was probably the best possible time for this to happen. Real talk. They likely knew about this for a long time. And were waiting to find a time to close it. The former king of Spain and his Swiss accounts. Wow. That is crazy. Seems like it's the perfect time to get away with whatever you want. Friend of mine works in accounting and he said his company is planning on seeing a massive spike in fraud with all the bankruptcies expected to occur. People trying to sneak under the radar, so to speak. Earthquake in Zagreb 3 days ago. Corona and earthquake damage are two news in the news. Brexit. I almost miss it. Astronomer here. We might have a bright naked eye comet next month in the northern hemisphere, our first since 1997. Comet C/2019 Atlas Y4 is brightening really quickly. And by May might be one of the brightest things in the night sky. I mean, comets are notoriously tricky to predict in brightness, as it might just break apart as it gets closer to the sun. But it's really exciting to think about. Albeit no one has heard about it because of the pandemic, though granted. Doesn't a pandemic need a bright comet? Undefined. And yes, the last bright northern hemisphere great comet was Hale-Bopp, which was up for about a year to the naked eye. If you were a southern hemisphere resident in 2006. However, you probably remember Comet McNaught. Edit 2. Because many are asking. That bright star in the evening sky is actually Venus. It's around its peak brightness and height right now, and you should go take a look if your social distancing allows it. Might as well take a break from Netflix and look at a whole nother planet. Edit 3. No, there is no chance of the comet hitting us or affecting life on Earth beyond potentially getting bright. I would hope the locusts plaguing East Africa, the Middle East, and the Indian subcontinent. It's describing some swarms as being the size of New York. And they are eating their harvest, threatening widespread famine. I think without coronavirus we would mobilize to try to control this population the way we did for Zika-carrying mosquitoes in the Americas. Undefined. Also, for clarity, a swarm was identified as 3 times the size of NYC. I swear I remember hearing about some group readying up like 200k ducks to go fight the locusts. Cause one duck can eat like 150 locusts a day or something. I'll have to find a source. Undefined. The Lori Vallow/Chad Daybell case is still alive and well. If anyone's interested in this, I wrote a longest comment /r/out of the loop when it was first breaking that should take you up to about mid-February. This is one of those stories that's going to get bigger as more details come out. As with any story like this, there's a veritable smorgasbord of information, misinformation, speculation and finger-pointing. But, well, it's not looking good. It's still in progress. But if you're expecting a happy ending, this probably isn't the story for you. What we do know is that 2 children, 17-year-old Tylee Ryan and 7-year-old Joshua J.J. Vallow, haven't been seen since September 2019. Tylee is the child of Lori Vallow and her 3rd husband, Joseph Ryan. J.J. was adopted by Lori and her 4th husband, Charles Vallow, at a young age. J.J. Vallow is the grandson of Charles Vallow's sister, Kay Woodcock. Charles Vallow is J.J.'s adoptive father, but also his great-uncle. The family trees on this one are complex. By all accounts, the marriage was a relatively happy one until a couple of years ago, when, according to Charles Vallow's brother-in-law, Larry Woodcock, suspicions arose that Lori was having an affair with a man named Chad Daybell. Daybell is a Latter-day Saints author of religious-themed books, including dozens of books on apocalyptic events and near-death experiences. By all accounts, Lori became increasingly fixated on religion during this time, becoming obsessed with the idea that there would be a second coming in July 2020 and that she was going to be one of a special 144,000, the latter of which is in line with LDS teachings that there will be a group of high priests raised to spread the gospel at the end times. According to court documents, Charles noted that Lori claimed to be a translated being who cannot taste death sent by God to lead the 144,000 into the millennium. This led to suspicions that Lori was in a cult. Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell worked on a podcast for which the production company, Preparing a People, has released a statement clarifying that they are not, in fact, a cult, merely a religious materials production company. That said, they also included the line, "We formally are notifying all media and individuals to cease and desist from mentioning the Preparing a People event brand, or our media company in any negative connection with Chad or Lori Daybell, or their case." So to reiterate, that's the Preparing a People event brand, the alleged cult and definitely employers of Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell, who are wanted in connection with the disappearance of 2 children and potentially the murder of 3 other people. You can't just threaten strangers to keep your dirty laundry secret, you guys. That's not how the internet works. In February 2019, Charles Vallow sought a divorce from his wife, as well as a protection order after she allegedly, according to his sister, threatened him with violence if he got in her way. Charles Vallow was shot and killed by Lori Vallow's brother, Alex Cox, in July of 2019. Before that, Vallow had switched the beneficiary of a $1 million life insurance policy from Lori to his sister Kay, JJ's grandmother. According to Vallow's former lawyer, Stephen Ellsworth, Charles had warned him about a perceived danger to his life. Ellsworth reported Charles as saying, "I'm afraid I'm gonna be killed. And I know who's gonna do it. I'm telling you, Steve. So that if something happens to me, I wanna make sure you let everyone know that something happens. I'm killed. That it's my wife Lori and her brother, Alex Cox." Cox claimed that it was a case of self-defense, after Vallow attacked him. But the case was never conclusively settled. Shortly after Vallow's death, Lori removed JJ from a school that specialized in the care of autistic children, claiming that she had found a new job in California and would be moving JJ there. So far, all of this has taken place in Arizona. Rather than moving to California, Lori moves the kids to Rexburg, Idaho, Idaho in August, where Chad Daybell is located, and it's worth noting, a town that's estimated to be 95% Mormon and enrolls JJ and Tylee into school. That's pretty much the last time they're seen. Now, while this is going on, Chad Daybell is married to his wife, Tammy, with whom he's been together since 1990, and founded a religious materials publishing company which put out his writings. In October 2019, Tammy Daybell claimed that a masked man shot at her with a paintball gun. As she put it, "I had gotten home and parked in our front driveway. As I was getting stuff out of the back seat, a guy wearing a ski mask was suddenly standing by the back of my car with a paintball gun. He shot at me several times, although I don't think it was loaded. I yelled for Chad and he ran off around the back of my house." 10 days after this, Tammy Daybell died of what was assumed to be natural causes. She was buried shortly afterwards, without an autopsy. The police did attend the scene but apparently didn't find anything unusual. Per Fremont County Sheriff Len Humphreys, "My deputies responded and, as we do with most unattended deaths, they took pictures. They looked it over and contacted our detectives. The detectives had a few questions. They satisfied those. Got the information they needed and didn't see anything that alarmed them. To my knowledge, Daybell was responding like anybody would whose spouse had just passed away. That's why the deputies didn't suspect anything suspicious. Shortly after this, within weeks, Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell get married in Kauai, Hawaii. The kids are nowhere to be seen. Tylee allegedly sent a text to a friend on October 25. But that's the last of any sort of contact, and even that isn't necessarily accurate. The Daybells were subject to a welfare check on JJ in November after family members complained they hadn't seen or heard from him in months. But when the police arrived, the Daybells claimed that JJ was with relatives in Arizona. When they checked up on the story, they found he hadn't stayed with the people the Daybells claimed. When this information comes in, police go to have a talk with the Daybells. And they've gone. Vanished. This takes us to November 27, 2019. Convinced that there's something suspicious going on, police start to take a closer look at Tammy Daybell's death. And her body is exhumed on December 11 so that toxicology tests can be performed. The results are still pending. On December 12, Alex Cox, Lori's brother, and the man who killed Charles Vallow, was found dead in a house in Arizona belonging to a woman he had married in Vegas 2 weeks earlier. The cause of death is unknown. And again, toxicology reports are still pending. And that's mostly where the story sits right now. The Daybells turned up in Hawaii and are refusing to answer questions. And there have been numerous appeals from the Woodcocks asking for information about the kids. The Woodcocks filed for guardianship, which is still pending. Lori Daybell was delivered papers informing her that she was legally required to produce JJ and Tylee to the Idaho Department of Health and Welfare, or Rexburg Police Department, in 5 days, a deadline which passed on January 30. Police in Hawaii have been investigating the Daybells. But at the time of writing, no arrests have been made. The reason this is getting national attention now is because of a Dateline special entitled "Where Are the Children?", which aired on February 14. Given the Daybells' continued refusal or inability to produce Tylee and JJ, you can expect there to be developments on this story in the coming days. This isn't one that's likely to just go away. Lori Vallow was arrested in Hawaii on February 20 on 2 felony counts of desertion and non-support of dependent children, resisting or obstructing officers, criminal solicitation to commit a crime, and contempt of court. Chad Daybell was not arrested.